My Uncle Sebastian cross has a ruler, a thick, heavy one. It's not for measuring architecture. It's exclusively for my ass. I was 17 when I got caught in a puppy love romance. He bent me over his lap, pinned me down and used that ruler to light up my backside. Whack. After every strike, he'd ask in that low, terrifyingly calm voice, "Tell Uncle, were you wrong?" Sebastian hit slow, deliberately slow. His massive hand gripped the back of my neck, holding me like I was a helpless chick. My ass bare and exposed to the cool air, clenched tight, waiting for the impact. When he hit hard, it burned like hellfire because I was clenched so tight. The pain mixed with a weird numbing itch. It was humiliating, so fucking humiliating. I swore to myself, when I get rich, I'm going to bend Sebastian cross over my lap, yank his pants down and spank him until he cries. "Nico, what are you thinking about?" His voice cut through my revenge fantasy. "Thinking about your ass." I squeezed out 2 fake tears, deliberately wiping them on Sebastian's pristine expensive dress pants and whined a fake apology. "Sebastian, Uncle, I know I was wrong. Please stop hitting me." "No discipline," he muttered. The cold ruler tapped against my skin again. It felt like his gaze, chilly and dangerous. "Call me Uncle." I almost laughed out loud. What kind of fucking uncle is he? What kind of uncle gets hard while spanking his nephew? His thigh muscles were rock hard under me. It was uncomfortable as hell. Old pervert. Sebastian's hand started rubbing the back of my neck, his tone shifting to something deceptively gentle. "Tell Uncle about that girl. What do you like about her?" I thought for a second. "She's hot." "Did you kiss her?" A weird sense of competitiveness flared up in my gut. "Yeah, we made out." We hadn't. I hadn't even held her hand before Sebastian caught me. The hand on my neck tightened instantly. "Tell Uncle Nico, what does a kiss feel like?" His voice dropped an octave, vibrating against my chest. "Did it feel good?" I gritted my teeth and lied through them. "Yeah, felt fucking amazing." The ruler came down hard back. My skin screamed. I grabbed a handful of his trousers, sucking in a sharp breath. Sebastian dropped the ruler. His thumb pressed hard against my lips, rubbing them with possessive force, almost bruising them. I didn't dare move. I just played the victim. "Uncle, stop. You're gonna rip my mouth open." He didn't stop. His tone was flat, burking, no refusal. "Listen to your uncle. Break up with that girl. Don't waste her time." Before I could talk back, Alfred, the old butler, knocked on the door. "Sir, Mr. Chase is here." I took the chance to yank my pants up, jumped off Sebastian's lap and bolted for the door. "I'm going to bed." At the doorway, I glanced back. The ruler was resting across his knees. Sebastian was looking down at his right hand, the one that had been rubbing my lips. Slowly, he lifted it to his mouth. Fuck. I knew this old pervert had dirty thoughts. Thank God I'm not actually his blood nephew. The fact that I'm not his biological nephew isn't a secret. Sebastian never hid it. The sister he talks about, my mom, who died young, had no blood relation to him. I don't know much about the messy history of the older generation. Sebastian never talks about it. But Chase, Sebastian's friend and rival, loves to remind me. "I can't believe you're her son," Chase would say, "except for the face, you're nothing like her." Chase is the youngest son of the prestigious Lou Media family. He's a hotshot celebrity, handsome, rich, has a resting bitch face, especially when he looks at me. I get it, though. Chase is openly gay and his dream man is Sebastian Cross. But Sebastian is cold to everyone. Everyone except me, basically. Chase is jealous as hell. When I rushed down the stairs while trying to buckle my belt, I ran straight into him at the landing. Chase crossed his arms, looking me up and down with those judgmental eyes, finally landing on my unfastened pants, sneered, "Did he fuck you?" I smirked, fiddling with my belt buckle like a total punk. "You got it backward." Chase froze. His face went pale like he'd been struck by lightning. "What?" I smiled sweetly. "Yeah, it's exactly what you're thinking." I reached out and patted his smooth celebrity face, acting like a thug. "Stop crushing on Sebastian. Crush on me instead. I can make you happy too. If you don't believe me, ask Sebastian how good I made him feel." Just as the words left my mouth, a light chuckle drifted down from the top of the stairs. My face went pale too. Sebastian's voice pressed down on us like heavy fog. Ace, you can go home. Nico, come back up here. Uncle wants to show you exactly how good it feels. After reading boring-ass Bible verses to Sebastian on the 4th floor all night, I obediently broke up with Chloe the next day. My excuse was my uncle won't let me. Chloe slapped me and called me a daddy's boy. She knows nothing about Sebastian's depravity. If that old pervert really wants me with his level of control, never escape his palm to fight back, you need capital. I have zero. Everything I have, Sebastian gave me. He is the landlord, the bank, the god. His only requirement is that I obey. Sebastian found me when I was 12. Back then, I had rainbow-colored hair and was running the streets in the poorest district of the city. A little gutter rat. Sebastian's black Mercedes pulled up his polished leather shoes, stepped onto the filthy pavement. He stared at me for a long time, frowned and asked his assistant, "Are you sure this is him?" The assistant checked the file and nodded seriously. Sebastian, being a man of the world, took 3 seconds to accept that this trashy kid was his nephew. He extended a hand. "Hello, I am Sebastian Cross, your uncle." His hand was large with distinct knuckles, powerful but pale and clean. I grinned, grabbed his hand with my dirty paw, fresh from digging in a dumpster, and said, "Hello, I'm Nico, your long-lost daddy." Sebastian didn't get mad. He laughed. I paid a heavy price for that daddy joke. Sebastian held me down while they shaved my head and lasered off my tattoos. My resistance was futile, so I cursed his ancestors for 18 generations. Sebastian doesn't argue. He acts. He threw me into a boxing ring and said, "Come on, play around with Uncle." I got beaten black and blue. I screamed that he was abusing a child and that I'd call the cops. Sebastian took off his gloves, squatted in front of me and gently wiped the tears, blood from my face. "Why are you crying?" "Uncle is just playing with you." I choked. A curse word was on the tip of my tongue. Then Sebastian whispered, "Besides, if Uncle wanted to abuse you, I would have cut out your tongue first just so you couldn't talk shut." I swallowed the curse word. I rubbed my face against his hand like a stray dog, realizing survival meant submission. "Uncle, I was wrong." Sebastian smiled faintly, rubbing my head. His technique was exactly like petting a dog. Good boy. Honestly, I'm terrified of Sebastian. When I was 14, I walked in on him in the 4th floor prayer room. He was beating a man. He stomped on the guy's leg and shattered the bone. After he was done, he leaned back in his chair and waved at me, "Come read some verses for Uncle." That's why I say he's a pervert. He just snapped a man's bone and the next second he wants to hear poetry. I couldn't focus. All I could hear was that crack sound of the leg breaking. So I kept stuttering. Sebastian sighed, pulled me into his lap and patted my back soothingly. "Don't be scared. You aren't like them. You are Uncle's nephew. As long as you listen, Uncle will always spoil you." So Sebastian's love comes with conditions. I have to be his nephew and I have to obey. Otherwise he'll snap my legs, too. So I was willing to be Sebastian's nephew forever as long as he stayed rich. That was my plan right up until I opened the door after school. The door swung open to reveal something I never expected. Standing in the grand foyer of Sebastian's mansion was a woman. Not just any woman, but someone whose presence commanded the entire space like she owned it. She wore a tailored cream suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe, her dark hair swept into an elegant updo that screamed old money. Diamond earrings caught the afternoon light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. But it was her face that stopped me cold. She had my eyes. The same unusual shade of amber green that Sebastian always said reminded him of my mother. The same sharp cheekbones. The same defiant tilt to her chin that I saw every morning in the mirror. "Hello, Nico," she said. Her voice was smooth, cultured, with a hint of an accent I couldn't quite place. British maybe, or international school educated. "I'm Vivian Castellano. Your aunt." I stood there with my backpack sliding off one shoulder, mouth probably hanging open like an idiot. Alfred hovered nervously behind her, wringing his hands in a way I'd never seen before. The old butler looked genuinely distressed. "Master Nico just arrived from school, Miss Vivian," Alfred said carefully. Perhaps I should announce your presence to Master Sebastian first. No need. Sebastian's voice floated down from the second-floor landing. He descended the stairs with that predatory grace of his, every movement deliberate and controlled. But something was different. His jaw was tight, and there was a coldness in his eyes that I'd only seen directed at his enemies. Vivian. I wasn't aware you were back in the country. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Vivian smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Sebastian. Still keeping secrets, I see. When were you planning to tell me that my sister's son was living under your roof? Your sister? I blurted out before I could stop myself. Both of them turned to look at me. Sebastian's expression softened fractionally, but Vivian's remained unreadable, calculating. Yes, darling, Vivian said, taking a step toward me. Her heels clicked against the marble floor with sharp precision. Your mother, Elena, was my younger sister. Which makes me family. Real family. Not whatever arrangement Sebastian has concocted here. The words hit like a slap. Real family. As opposed to what? The fake nephew situation I had with Sebastian? She wasn't wrong, but hearing it said out loud stung more than I expected. Sebastian moved down the remaining stairs with dangerous fluidity. He positioned himself slightly between Vivian and me, a subtle shift that most people wouldn't notice. But I'd spent 5 years studying his every move, learning to read the microscopic changes in his posture that signaled danger. Nico, Sebastian said without looking at me, go upstairs. Do your homework. But. Now. That tone left no room for argument. I grabbed my backpack and headed for the stairs, but not before catching Vivian's knowing smirk. She'd won something in this exchange, though I didn't know what. As I climbed the stairs, their voices followed me, low and tense. You had no right to take him, Sebastian. I had every right. You abandoned him. Someone had to. Their words faded as I reached the second floor, but my mind was racing. Vivian knew about me. She was my mother's sister. She'd been out there somewhere all this time while I'd been living with Sebastian, and now she shows up out of nowhere? I didn't go to my room. Instead, I crept back to the landing, staying hidden behind the ornate banister where I could hear them clearly. Old habits from my street days died hard. Elena's will was very clear, Vivian was saying. Her voice carried an edge now, sharp enough to cut. She wanted Nico raised by family. Blood family. Not by her obsessed stalker who couldn't let her go even after death. Silence. The kind of silence that precedes explosions. When Sebastian spoke, his voice was so quiet I had to strain to hear it. Careful, Vivian. You're in my house. A house built on Elena's memory. Don't think I don't know why you really took him in, Sebastian. He has her face. Every time you look at him, you see her. It's pathetic. My stomach twisted. Was that true? Did Sebastian only care about me because I looked like my dead mother? The thought made me feel sick, hollow. You know nothing about why I took Nico in, Sebastian said. You weren't there. You were too busy jet-setting across Europe with your husband's money, pretending your sister never existed. I mourned her in my own way. You erased her. Changed your name. Married into wealth and forgot where you came from. Elena died alone because of you. Elena died because of you. Vivian's composure cracked, her voice rising. She was running from you, Sebastian. From your obsession. She was terrified of what you'd become. And now you've taken her son and turned him into your little pet project. It's sick. I couldn't breathe. The walls of the mansion suddenly felt too close, the air too thick. My mother had been running from Sebastian? He'd been obsessed with her? Get out of my house. Sebastian's words were final, absolute. I'm not leaving without Nico. I'm filing for custody. He's 17 now, old enough to choose. And when he learns the truth about what you really are, what you did to his mother, he'll choose me. Blood over delusion, Sebastian. Footsteps. Vivian was walking toward the door. Try it, Sebastian said softly. Take me to court. Let's see what happens when I reveal exactly why you really want Nico. It's not maternal instinct, Vivian. It's that trust fund Elena set up for him, isn't it? The one that unlocks when he turns 18. The one you've been bleeding dry through that fraud of a husband. Vivian froze. I could see her reflection in the polished floor, her face going pale. You're bluffing. Am I? Ask your husband about the Cayman accounts. Ask him about the forged documents. I have copies of everything, Vivian. Every illegal transfer. Every fraudulent claim. One phone call and I can destroy you both. The silence stretched so long I thought they'd somehow left without me hearing. Then Vivian laughed, but it sounded brittle, broken. You always were a monster, Sebastian. Elena was right about you. And yet she trusted me with her son. Not you. Think about that. The front door opened and closed with a soft click. She was gone. I stayed frozen on the landing, my mind spinning. A trust fund? My mother had left me money? And Vivian had been stealing it? But Sebastian knew and hadn't told me. He'd kept it secret just like he kept everything secret. Nico. I jerked, nearly falling over. Sebastian stood at the base of the stairs, looking up at me with an unreadable expression. He'd known I was listening the whole time. Come down here. My legs felt like lead as I descended the stairs. Sebastian waited, hands in his pockets, watching me with those ice-blue eyes that missed nothing. How much did you hear? He asked. Enough. My voice came out rougher than intended. Is it true? About my mom running from you? Sebastian's jaw tightened. For a long moment, he didn't answer. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked steadily, marking each second of silence. Your mother and I had a complicated relationship, he finally said. But I never hurt her. I would have died before laying a hand on Elena. That's not what I asked. His eyes flashed with something I couldn't identify. Pain, maybe. Or regret. Yes, he admitted. She was afraid of me. Not because I threatened her, but because of what I represented. The life I lived. The things I did to protect what was mine. She wanted out. She wanted peace. I couldn't give her that. The confession sat heavy between us. This was the most honest Sebastian had ever been with me, and it hurt more than any ruler strike. And me? I asked. Do you see her when you look at me? Sebastian stepped closer. His hand came up slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. He cupped my face with a gentleness that seemed impossible from someone so dangerous. I see you, Nico. You're not her. You never were. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. You're sharper. Tougher. You survived things she couldn't. You have her beauty, yes, but you have your own fire. Why didn't you tell me about the trust fund? Because money corrupts. I wanted you to learn discipline first. Value. To understand that wealth without control is just another prison. That's bullshit, I said, but without real heat. You wanted control over me. Sebastian smiled faintly. Yes. That too. At least he was honest about it. What happens now? I asked. With Vivian? Nothing. She won't pursue custody once she realizes I have evidence of her fraud. And the trust fund is protected under a covenant your mother established. Vivian can't touch it. No one can accept you when you turn 18. 18. That was less than a year away. How much? I couldn't help asking. Enough to be free. If that's what you want. The weight of those words settled over me. Freedom. I could leave Sebastian. Walk away from this twisted arrangement where I played nephew to a man who definitely didn't see me as family. I could go to college anywhere in the world. Start over. But the thought didn't bring the relief I expected. Instead, it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down at a drop I wasn't ready to take. I need to think, I said. Sebastian nodded. His hand dropped from my face, leaving my skin cold where his warmth had been. Take your time. You have until you're 18. After that, the choice is yours. He turned toward his study, then paused. Nico. Whatever you decide, know that I don't regret taking you in. You became more important to me than I ever intended. He walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing alone in the foyer with too many questions and not enough answers. The next few weeks were strange. Sebastian didn't change his routine, but something had shifted between us. He still enforced his rules, still expected obedience, but there was a careful distance now. Like he was preparing himself for the possibility that I might leave. Chase noticed immediately. "What happened between you two?" he asked one afternoon when he showed up for one of his regular visits. We were in Sebastian's home gym, which Chase used because it had better equipment than his penthouse. Sebastian's been different. Distracted. I spotted him on the bench press, watching the way his muscles flexed under his designer workout gear. Chase was objectively gorgeous, all sharp angles and carefully cultivated beauty. But he wasn't Sebastian. "Family drama," I said vaguely. Chase sat up, wiping sweat from his face with a monogrammed towel. "Let me guess. Someone from your mother's side showed up?" I must have looked surprised because he smirked. "Please. I've known Sebastian for 15 years. I know about Elena. About the whole tragic love story." He paused. "I also know he's been preparing for this day since he found you." "What day?" "The day you leave him." The words hit harder than they should have. "He told you that?" "He didn't have to. I've watched him with you, Nico. The way he looks at you like you're the only thing keeping him human. It terrifies him. So yeah, he's been preparing for the day you realize you don't need him anymore." Chase stood, moving closer. There was something in his expression I'd never seen before. Something almost kind. "For what it's worth, you should go. When you turn 18, take that money and run. Build a life that's yours, not something Sebastian controlled from the beginning. You deserve that." "And what about you?" I challenged. "You've been chasing Sebastian for years. Don't you want me gone so you can finally have a chance?" Chase laughed, but it sounded sad. "I stopped thinking I had a chance the moment Sebastian brought you home. He never looked at me the way he looks at you. Never will." He grabbed his gym bag. "But maybe that's better. Sebastian Cross doesn't know how to love people. He only knows how to own them." He left me alone with those words echoing in my head. Was that true? Did Sebastian see me as property, just another thing to control? My 18th birthday arrived with surprising quietness. No party. No grand celebration. Just Sebastian and me in his study, a leather portfolio on the desk between us. "Everything your mother left you," Sebastian said, sliding the portfolio toward me. "Bank accounts, investment portfolios, property deeds. It's all yours now. No strings attached." I opened it with shaking hands. The numbers were staggering. Millions. Plural. My mother had been wealthy, and she'd left it all to me. "There's also a letter," Sebastian added quietly. "From Elena. She wrote it when she was pregnant with you. I was instructed to give it to you on your 18th birthday." He handed me a sealed envelope, yellowed slightly with age. My mother's handwriting was on the front, "For my son, when he's old enough to understand." I stared at it for a long moment, then set it aside. "Later." Sebastian nodded. "The choice is yours, Nico. You can stay here, under my roof, under my rules. Or you can take this money and leave. Buy a condo. Travel the world. Go to college anywhere you want. I won't stop you." "And if I stay?" Something flickered in his eyes. "Hope, maybe. Or fear. Then things continue as they have been. You're mine to protect. Mine to guide. Mine." That possessive edge in his voice should have scared me. Should have sent me running for the door with that portfolio clutched in my hands. But it didn't. "I need to read the letter first," I said. "Of course." I took the envelope and left his study, climbing the stairs to my room. The letter felt heavy in my hands, weighted with years of questions I'd never gotten to ask my mother. I sat on my bed, broke the seal, and began to read. "My dearest son. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there to watch you grow up, to see the man you've become. But I want you to know that you were loved. So deeply loved. I've left you everything I have. Use it wisely. Build a life full of joy and freedom, the kind I struggled to find for myself. I've also made arrangements for Sebastian to be your guardian if anything happens to me. I know this might seem strange, given our history. The truth is, Sebastian and I were never in love, not in the way people might think. We were close once, years ago, before I met your father. Sebastian was my protector, my friend. But his world became too dark, too dangerous. I had to leave for my own safety. But I also knew that if I died, there was no one else I could trust with you. Not Vivian, who cares only for money. Not your father's family, who never acknowledged you. Only Sebastian, who despite all his flaws, is loyal to the core. He will protect you with his life. He will give you everything you need to survive. The question is whether you'll choose to stay with him or forge your own path. I hope you choose freedom, my son. Don't let anyone cage you, not even someone who claims to care. You deserve the whole world. All my love. Elena. I read the letter 3 times, each pass revealing new layers. My mother hadn't been in love with Sebastian. She'd trusted him, yes, but she'd also feared his world. And she'd hoped I would choose freedom. But she didn't know me. Didn't know that I'd spent 5 years in Sebastian's world, learning its rules, adapting to its dangers. Didn't know that the idea of leaving felt less like freedom and more like abandoning the only home I'd known. I folded the letter carefully and went back downstairs. Sebastian was still in his study, standing by the window with a glass of whiskey in his hand. He didn't turn when I entered. She wanted me to leave, I said. I know. She was afraid of your world. She should have been. I walked over to stand beside him. Outside, the city lights glittered in the darkness, thousands of lives playing out in buildings we could see from this height. I'm staying, I said. Sebastian's hand tightened on his glass. Why? Because you're right. I am yours. But not the way my mother was, not the way Chase wants to be. I'm yours because I choose to be. Because this fucked up arrangement is the closest thing to home I've ever had. He finally looked at me. You could have real freedom, Nico. A normal life. I don't want normal. I want this. I want you. The confession hung between us, raw and honest. Sebastian set down his glass with careful precision. If you stay, things will change, he warned. You're 18 now. An adult. The rules will be different. Different how? He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, that expensive scent that I'd always associated with safety despite everything. No more pretending, Nico. No more uncle and nephew games. If you stay as yourself. And I'll stop pretending I see you as anything other than what you are. My heart was pounding. Which is? Mine. Not as a nephew. Not as a ward. As mine in every sense of the word. He reached out, fingers grazing my jaw in a touch that was nothing like the controlling grips from before. This was reverent, tentative, like I was something precious he was afraid to break. Is that what you want? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. It's what I've wanted since you were old enough to understand. But I waited. I gave you the choice. And now you've chosen. So what happens now? Sebastian smiled, and it was the first genuine smile I'd seen from him in weeks. Now we stop lying to each other. Now we build something real. He leaned in slowly, giving me every opportunity to pull away. I didn't. When his lips met mine, it was nothing like I'd imagined. It wasn't aggressive or demanding. It was careful, almost gentle, like he was savoring something he'd denied himself for too long. I kissed him back, fisting my hands in his expensive shirt, pulling him closer. All those years of tension, of games and power plays and unspoken want, finally crystallized into this moment. When we broke apart, Sebastian rested his forehead against mine. No regrets, he asked. Not yet. Ask me again in 5 years. He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest. Deal. Chase took the news surprisingly well. I knew it, he said when I told him a week later. We were having coffee at his favorite pretentious cafe, the kind that charged $15 for a latte. I've known for years that Sebastian was gone for you. I just didn't think you'd actually choose him. You're not upset? Chase shrugged, looking out the window at the busy street. I'm too old to pine for unavailable men. Besides, I met someone. A director. He's talented, emotionally available, and doesn't look at me like I'm a possession. Revolutionary concept. I smiled. I'm happy for you. Are you happy, Nico? Really? I thought about it. About waking up in Sebastian's bed now, About the way he looked at me over breakfast like I was the best thing he'd ever acquired. About how the rules had changed but the core remained the same. He protected me, provided for me, and I gave him my loyalty. Yeah, I said honestly. I am. Chase raised his overpriced latte and a toast. Then here's to fucked up love stories with happy endings. We clinked cups, and I felt something settle in my chest. Peace, maybe. Or just acceptance. Vivian tried one more time. She showed up at the mansion 6 months after my 18th birthday, looking polished but desperate. Her husband had left her, apparently, once Sebastian's evidence of fraud became public. She was broke, disgraced, and looking for help. Sebastian had her escorted off the property before she could finish her sob story. Some people never learn, he said, watching from the window as her taxi pulled away. They think money and blood entitle them to everything. Do you feel bad for her? I asked. No. She made her choices. Now she lives with them. Cold. Harsh. Entirely Sebastian. I wrapped my arms around him from behind, resting my chin on his shoulder. He relaxed into the touch, a rare show of vulnerability. Thank you, I said. For protecting me. For waiting. I'd do it all again. Every moment. And I believed him. 1 year later, I stood in front of my mother's grave for the first time. Sebastian had brought me here, to the quiet cemetery where Elena was buried under a simple headstone. Flowers grew around it, carefully maintained by a service Sebastian paid for. I never knew what to say to her, Sebastian admitted, standing beside me. I failed her in life. Couldn't be what she needed. But I tried to honor her in death by protecting you. I knelt down, touching the cool marble. She was right to trust you. Maybe not in the way she expected, but she was right. We stood there in silence for a while, two people bound by a dead woman's final wish, forged into something neither of us had planned. Finally, I stood. Let's go home. Sebastian took my hand, threading his fingers through mine. Home. We walked back to the car together, leaving the past where it belonged, in the ground with the ghosts. The future was ours to build, fucked up and perfect and entirely our own. 3 years later. I graduated summa cum laude from Columbia with a degree in architecture. Sebastian sat in the audience, looking proud in a way that made my chest tight. After the ceremony, he handed me a set of keys. What's this? Your first project. A building downtown. Design it however you want. It's yours. I stared at the keys, then at him. You bought me a building? I bought you a future. What you do with it is up to you. That night, in the penthouse we now shared, I showed him my designs. Sebastian listened intently, offering feedback, treating me like an equal partner rather than a possession. We'd grown into something better than what we started as. Something real. And when he pulled me into bed later, when he whispered that he loved me against my skin, I believed him. Because Sebastian Cross didn't know how to lie to me. Not anymore. We'd built our strange, beautiful life on honesty, control, and choice. And I wouldn't change a single moment of it.